Ladies and gentlemen, we saw PPI and CPI come in the last 24 hours. It's led to some short-term volatility, and it's led to some changes to the short-term structures. We need to discuss those changes. It's actually a pretty critical level on Bitcoin that I think really needs to hold in order for this short-term and medium-term price action to remain bullish, and in order for Bitcoin to avoid stooping downwards to another retest at the bottom of the channel, which will likely lead to a breakdown of the channel as a whole if we do that. So Bitcoin, I suppose, is in a bit of a pressing situation. It has been ever since it entered the mid-range of this channel once again, which started in around the start of August. And yeah, it's been in a situation ever since. But, you know, more specifically, if we're just looking at the last couple of weeks, really, or the last week, we've been rejecting from the midline of that channel. So that's been quite threatening. And we need to look into the short-term charts to give you an update of what that price action looks like on a more intricate scale. So let's get into that in a moment here. Before we do it though, let's check out the VIP group on Telegram. Telegram VIP, we trade altcoins 4 times a week. I post altcoin trading plans, right? With my entry zones, my stop loss zones, my take profit zones, all up in there. And then we have the PDF of all of the historical trading results, fully transparent. I show you every single win, every single loss, so you can make an informed decision about whether you want to purchase that VIP group. With the group membership comes access to a group chat where you can discuss the market with other VIP members 24/7. Very useful stuff. Get in there if you're interested. Let's dive into the analysis today. Just a quick little recap what's going on here for Bitcoin. The overall structure of Bitcoin right now, I think, is best described as a descending channel formation. Channel stemming from the all-time high in March, going all the way through to recent price action. The wick down we saw here, the big drop downwards, the big cataclysmic drop downwards, I think was a deviation. It was a deviation, but it was very difficult to recognize at the time. You could only really recognize it in hindsight, but it did form a support line stemming backwards from 2023, marking the low, and you can see the daily candle closed perfectly on top of the wedges support line, as well as, and this is something that's a bit lesser known, but I've looked at on this channel a lot, it also closed right on top of a support line stemming backwards from, as you can see, 2019, but actually 2018 if you zoom it further back. And it looks something like this, and if you draw it correctly, I've just drawn it very, very roughly here, but if you draw it correctly, it shows the daily candle closed on top of that line as well. So not only the channel, but also the ascending support line, stemming backwards 5 or 6 years now from 2018. So I look at this situation, and I see a scenario in which Bitcoin really needs to have found its bottom there. That's a perfect bottom scenario. Very messy. I mean, it's not perfect. It's very, very messy, but given the structure there, there's a lot of structure there. And so I think that should have been the low. It won't be very reassuring at all if Bitcoin starts breaking down below that yellow line, breaking down below the channel. That would be a sign that we're heading into something more extensive on a macro scale. Right now, the macro health is still technically there, although it's very much under threat, especially considering the fact that the center line of the channel, right, the midpoint of the channel, has been acting as firm resistance over the last week. Right, that's quite threatening because, you know, if you see a rejection from something like that, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to go back down to the bottom of the channel, and we already know we can't really do that. Right, a second retest of that level could be catastrophic, especially with the uncertainty that still plagues traditional markets. Now, you know, S&P 500's managed to come upwards a bit above its resistance zone in red, but it's still in a breakdown. It's still in a structural breakdown from October on the RSI and the price chart. There still is uncertainty there. You look at the unemployment data, there's uncertainty in regards to that. Could we be seeing a recession soon? Could we be seeing a hard landing? There's lots of things going on. Bond markets essentially dropping downwards. The Federal Reserve not reacting by cutting rates. Instead, they decided to wait until the next FOMC meeting. All of this stuff is quite concerning. So there's a lot of uncertainty that plagues the macro charts right now. And the last thing we need is actual TA to flip into a bearish macro structure, because that would validate that uncertainty. Right now, that uncertainty is not validated. It is merely lurking, all right, looming around. But here's what we look into, because we know at the moment we've got a strong resistance zone here. It's not only just the midline of the channel, it's also bull market support band acting as resistance. It's also the 50 and 200-day SMAs. There's lots there. And this is what I've said in previous videos. We really need to be seeing Bitcoin break above 64 to 65K as soon as possible to get above the center line and to get above the critical indicators. Until we do that, I'm not confident in Bitcoin's medium-term or short-term price action. And quite frankly, I can't really be too confident in the long-term price action as well, because that looming uncertainty is just plaguing every bit of confidence anyone could possibly have. So Bitcoin charts and markets in general are in a bit of a precarious situation right now. And this is why it's exceptionally important that if we look at the short term, it's exceptionally important we maintain short-term structures, right? Because short-term price action leads to long-term price action. Of course, that's how time works, right? Time progresses forward. And so you need to be seeing bullish structures develop on short term for that to result in bullish structures in the longer term. And if we look at the same channel right here in just a more charted up chart, what we can see is that Bitcoin clearly on the hourly chart has important support zones layered throughout this region that I've just circled, right? So we've rejected from the center line, which is the dashed white line. There's also, structured resistance all the way up. We've had this support line in yellow, which is kind of threatening to break down at the moment. It's a rough support line. We've seen deviations before. It hasn't quite broken down yet. But overall, what is important, if we just delete everything on this chart, and we just draw in hypothetically where the center line would be, something like this, right? That's the center line of the channel we've been rejecting from, the larger channel. I've just drawn it in there hypothetically. And what are we looking at horizontally? Like, what's the support zone we need to hold in order to continue upwards here? Because we can't just come all the way back down. We've already established that if we come all the way back down, we form a rounding top formation into macro support zones, which will likely lead to a breakdown. So Bitcoin needs to form a higher low here. It needs to do something basically like this, where it forms a higher low and then bounces from that higher low and enters the upper range of a channel and hence finds more structured support zones, right? That's what Bitcoin needs to do. And when I look at these charts right now in the short term, what I see as a very important level for Bitcoin to hold is basically 57.7K. Let's just say 57.5K, because I understand that in the past we've gone a little bit lower. Let's just say 57, right? Somewhere in that price region. Let's just draw a rectangle. It might be a bit easier to visualize it. Somewhere here is the very important level that Bitcoin needs to hold on short term. If we do not hold that, what we do is we enter a double top formation. We go downwards. We fail to find support because there's no structured support down here. Okay, if we go to the daily chart on Bitcoin, we can see through the volume profile, there's no structured support below 57K. That is the volume profile spike. Below 57K, it's a free fall into the low 50K region. We can't see that. We just cannot see that. We don't have the breathing room to see that. So I see Bitcoin in a situation where it kind of needs to hold 57 and form a low there and bounce upwards to avoid a double top, to avoid a massive rounding top, and to avoid a very, very concerning retest, if it does see it, of the bottom of these structures, which could potentially lead to a breakdown and validate the macro uncertainty. That's what I'm seeing for Bitcoin right now. 57K, we need to hold it. Same thing for Ethereum, really. Obviously, the levels are a little bit different. On Ethereum, you can point to a different level. Perhaps on Ethereum, you can point to something like 2,500 to 2,400. A little bit more dodgy, a little bit more sketchy for Ethereum. I don't like, I'm not in a very confident position here. I really don't like these charts because I see Ethereum in a massive ascending wedge structure, which is obviously bearish. And not only that, I see Ethereum in an ascending wedge against major horizontal resistance that defined Ethereum's macro support range, which is relative right now to Bitcoin's center line of a channel. So I don't like what these markets look like on short and medium term. They are making me a bit uncomfortable, and I really do see a situation in which Bitcoin desperately needs to hold the line. If it does see a correction here, I really don't want it to go below 57K for too long. And if it does, that's when we can start to do some serious damage. And that's when we can start to see validations to the uncertainty that is looming on traditional markets. So that's all I have to say, guys. I just wanted to give you an update for what's going on here and show you what you need to be looking at. We'll end it there. Thank you for watching. Please stick around for a second though. Bitunix and BingX. If you want an exchange, and you need an exchange because you need to buy and sell somewhere, right? If you want a good exchange that is global, non-KYC, you can sign up from anywhere in the world. And we'll also offer you a 15% trading fee discount for life with my referral link below. The BingX and Bitunix exchanges are for you. They have never been hacked before. They're global non-KYC. They're very low in trading fees, and they're made even lower in trading fees with my links down below. 15% trading fee discount. On top of that, read the writing on the screen. Sign up and win up to 5,500 USDT in rewards. Same thing for BingX, except it's 4,000 just with my links down below. Check those exchanges out, guys. Helps out the channel and it helps out you by getting on a good exchange. Use my links down below. We've also got the Crypto Academy, Become a Trader 10-unit course, teaching people how to trade in a structured format, a university-style format with videos, worksheets, slideshows, charts, right? Dialogue, right? Audio, everything you need to learn how to trade, targeting every single type of learner is in this course. And finally, again, the VIP group on Telegram. If you want altcoin trading signals, that's where you can get them. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you tomorrow.